temperatures for the weekend of August 10th and August 11th. And those temperatures will be moderated by low pressure spinning over the Pacific Northwest coast. For the greater Dixie area today, 100, 72, and Sunday, 99 and 73. For Zion National Park today, 96 and 66. And for Sunday, 95 and 66. For Bryan Head Village today, 59 and 43. And for Sunday, 59 and 41. For Radio Dixie and Radio St. George, this is Dennis Mattinson.
Mitch Ryder and Bob Seger are products of the Detroit rock scene. So are the MC5 and the Stooges. This week on Music 101, we explore the Detroit rock scene of the mid to late 1960s through the early 1970s. The music scene that's been credited with being the prototype for punk. Tune in and rock out on this week's Music 101.
Music 101, Sunday evenings at 7 on Radio St. George 100.3.
Affogato Gourmet Coffee, a fine sponsor of DSU Radio. Affogato Gourmet Coffee offers gourmet coffee, smoothies, pastries, and keto-friendly offerings. Affogato Coffee with live music on Sundays, coffee, hot chocolate, great company, and a funky environment. Behind tropical smoothies on 10th East and Red Hills Parkway. Affogato Gourmet Coffee.
Steamroller Copies, we're the one to help you till your work is done. The full service business center makes your day run so much better.
Steamroller Copies and Copiers for Sale, a proud supporter of Dixie State University Radio.
Full service business center, Steamroller Copies.
There's always something happening at the Washington City Community Center. The American Red Cross CPR AED training will take place August 20th at the Washington City Community Center. Morning and evening classes are available. Learn CPR. For more information, washingtoncity.org/cc. It's the Washington City Community Center.
When people feel something wonderful, when they really want to share their happiness, they sing. Join the Mormon Tabernacle Choir each week as they sing the world's most uplifting and joyful music. In music and the spoken word, you may forget the songs, but you'll remember the feeling of happiness.
Music and the spoken word, brought to you by Ken Garff St. George Ford Lincoln, Sundays at 7 and 1 on Radio St. George 100.3.
Participate in the conversation. 435-879-4100. We are Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
Good morning and welcome to KDXI St. George, Radio St. George at 100.3 FM. It's our pleasure to present to you The Garden Show with Artie and Woody. It's time to find out, how does your garden grow? Here are your hosts for The Garden Show, Artie and Woody.
All right, good morning. Happy Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Fun and Garden Show starring Woody.
Welcome.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, there we go. Are you there?
Was I dead?
I had the wrong microphone on.
Oh, well, that'll do it. Welcome.
How you doing, Woody?
I'm doing great. I look good, don't I?
You look, you have a fresh,
not as good as you, but I look fair.
You have a wonderful fresh face on, and we're ready to go for
got my makeup on.
No, I've got my medicine, my Diet Dew.
Yeah,
Did you have yours?
I got my prescription. Stopped at Walmart, got my prescription.
Well, folks, this is the Fun and Garden Show with Woody and Artie, exclusively on St. George, or Radio St. George 100.3. And there's a great way to find us online. Tell us how we can find.
On funandgardening.com.
Okay, and what can we do on funandgarden.com?
Almost anything.
Okay.
That's legal. We've got, we've got Harvey to answer your questions.
Okay.
We've got recipes on there for different things.
You had your chili recipe.
Your chili sauce, yeah.
You brought in your chili sauce last week, and it was great.
It was great, and it turned out really good this year.
Yeah.
And we've got links that go over to Facebook and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some pictures of the different flowers and that. I have a picture on there of a hibiscus that I have in my yard that's a pink swirl.
Oh, no kidding.
And it's the largest blossoms I've ever seen on a hibiscus. They're 8 inches across.
Really?
8 inches. That's the size of a small dinner plate.
That's
It is.
So I'd love to see that at funandgarden.com.
It's on there. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, my neighbor came over and took pictures of it, set up his tripod. And
He did?
yeah.
Did you charge him?
No, he's a good guy.
Do you have a cattle prod?
Well, I charge
Or-
other people, but not him.
Oh, but do you have just in case your
The lawn chair lady shows up.
yeah, you should have a kettle prod or
She's going to be getting back in town, isn't she?
I think so.
Yeah.
We're talking about my neighbor, the lawn chair lady.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
and-
that's right.
Yeah.
October.
Yeah, you're going to have company again.
Gosh, yeah. The lady next door likes to spy on
Help
me.
you.
So. Oh yeah.
Help you with your stuff.
Well, I don't know if it's really help. But...
Hey, Artie, we've got a new cast member with us today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about, and you can see what we're talking about on our streaming, our Facebook live streaming or our YouTube live streaming. There it is. It's on Facebook right now.
It's over here. Let's see if
It's
I
in
point
your
to
corner.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
can't see it.
it's in the corner.
It's in the corner. And he's joined the cast. He's the
Should we call him Chuckles?
assistant producer.
Assistant producer Chuckles.
Chuckles. Well, no, we're going to have a contest to name him,
Oh, yeah?
We got Harvey a name, and we need to have, right now I call him Smiley, but
Smiley?
we need to have a name for him, so you can go on our website and
And name Chuckles.
he's joined the cast. He's
Should we call him Chuckles?
He's a pretty positive assistant. He's made a vow
Assistant
though he's not
producer
going to
Chuckles.
talk until he's got a name. We're going to have a contest.
All right, so
to
go
name
on
him,
funandgarden.com
We got Harvey
or
a
go to our
name, and
Facebook
we need
page
to have.
and
Right now, I
help
call him
name
Smiley, but
Smiley.
we need to have
Smiley
a name
Chuckler.
for him. So
I think we
you
just
can go
already
on
have a
our
name for it.
website.
I think I just named it.
He thinks
name
so.
Chuckles,
He's
but maybe
joined
our
the
audience
cast.
can
Yeah,
see
you
it.
did.
Should
That's
we call him
pretty good,
Chuckles?
He's the pretty
Have our
positive
audience
assistant.
feedback.
He's made a vow.
Our
though he's not
producer,
gonna
Chuckles.
talk until he's got a name. We're going to have a contest.
All right, so
to
go
name
on
him.
funandgarden.com.
We got
So we
Harvey
want to
a
thank
name,
Sean
and we
Donovan
need
for
to
letting
have-
us do the
Right now, I
show.
call him
Name
Smiley.
from the beautiful
We need to have a
University
name for him,
Studios
so
of
you
you
can go
already
on
have a
our
name for it. I
website,
think I
Graham
just named it.
Poobah.
Absolutely.
I
I don't know,
He's
but
joined
maybe our
the
audience.
cast.
So
Yeah,
yesterday,
he's Chuckles.
Woody,
He's pretty
of course, we met each other, we became friends while volunteering. Producer Chuckles. And yesterday, I was an engineer driving. All right, so go on funandgarden.com. So we want to thank Sean Donovan for letting us do the show. Name from the beautiful.
I want to say 106.
University Studios. When I left, already have a name for it. Absolutely. Your audience. So yesterday, Woody, I met each other, we became friends while volunteering.
This time of year,
I was. I noticed. All right, so driving the train from the park. So we want to thank Sean Donovan for letting us do the show. Name from the beautiful.
I want to say 106.
Plants are already have a retire. Absolutely.
We're having a hard time.
So yesterday, well, when I met each other, we became friends all
This time of year,
I was. I noticed. All right, so the train park. So we want to thank Sean Donovan for letting us do the show.
I want to say 106.
Plants are already have a retire. Absolutely.
We're having a hard time.
Well, when I met each other, we became friends all
It's time to get on.
I know this is right now.
I want to say one of having a hard time.
It's time to get
I want to say one of having a hard time. I want to say my heart I mean, hearing an asking, we're having a hard time. I want to say my heart I mean, hearing an asking, we're having a hard time. I mean, hearing an asking, we're having a hard time. I mean, hearing an asking, we're having a hard time. What are we talking about? Flowers? For a year, I mean, hearing an asking, we're having a hard time. What are we talking about? Flowers? For a year, I mean, hearing an asking, we're having a hard time. What are we talking about? Flowers? For a year, I mean, hearing an asking, we're having a hard time. What are we talking about? Flowers? For a year, I mean, hearing an asking, we're having a hard time. You're talking about fall and what are we talking about? Flowers?
per year. I mean, you're talking about fall per year. So compost either Walmart or Star or you're talking about fall per year. So compost either Walmart or Star or you're talking about fall. You're not talking about you know what? Any food that I put out these days, per year. You know, I put out compost Walmart or Star or you're talking about snow. You're not talking about a couple weeks ago there was sour Scooby and you know what? Any food that I put out these days, per year. You know, I put out compost Walmart or Star or you're talking about snow. You're not talking about a couple weeks ago there was sour Scooby and you know what? Any food that I put out these days, per year. I put out compost Walmart or Star or you're talking about snow. You're not a couple weeks ago there was sour Scooby and you know what? Any food that I put out these days, per year. I put out compost Walmart or Star or back a couple weeks ago there was sorry Scooby and you know what? Any food that I put out these days, per year. I put out compost Walmart or Star you know what? Any food that I put out these days, per year. I put out compost Walmart or Star you know what? Any food that I put out these days, per year. I put out compost Walmart or Star just about it. You know what? Any food that I put out these days, per year. I put out compost Walmart or Star Just about to really? Eating food that I put out these days. Back on the stuff I don't like. Just about to really? Eating food that I put out these days. Back on the stuff I don't like. Just about to really? What's that? I know we've talked about these. Back on the stuff I don't like. Just about to really? Was I here? I know we've talked about these. Back on the stuff I don't like. So it's kind of a styrofoam stuff. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. Back on the stuff I don't like. So it's not that. So it's kind of a styrofoam stuff. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. Back on the stuff I don't like. So it's not that. So it's kind of a styrofoam stuff. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. Back on the stuff I don't like. So it's not that. More for us. So it's kind of a styrofoam stuff. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. Back on the stuff I don't like. So it's not that. More for us. So it's kind of a styrofoam stuff. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. Back on the stuff I don't like. So it's not that. So it's kind of a styrofoam stuff. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. Back on the stuff I don't like. So it's not that. I know we've talked about these. So it's kind of a styrofoam stuff. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. Back on the stuff I don't like. So it's not that. So it's kind of a styrofoam stuff. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's not that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that. I know we've talked about these. So it's like that don't think he's. He had a lot of fun. I was thinking he might do a lot of I don't think he's. He had a lot of fun. I was thinking he might do a lot of I don't think he's. He had a lot of fun. I was thinking he might do a lot of This is radio. Okay. I don't think he's. He had a lot of fun.
You don't want to keep them in for 2 years because number one, you want them tender, and number two, you want them sweet. So plant the seeds now, and now carrot seeds are really, really small. They're like little flakes of pepper. So and you want to put about 2 or 3 seeds per inch. Okay, and then you cover them with about a ½ inch of soil, let them start coming up, and then you want to thin them out, pull out the extra ones so that you have a carrot about every 1.5 inches.
Now, I think in the past you've talked about some seed tape. Do they have carrot seed tape?
They do. I don't know of anywhere you can get it here, but there's going to be some places next year where we're going to have seed tape.
And that's a little bit more manageable.
Well, it's got them all spaced out for you. So you dig a trench maybe 10 feet long, and you take a rock and put on the tape at the end of the trench and roll it out, and then cover it, and it's done. It's spaced for you.
Hey, guess what that music means?
We go horseback riding?
Absolutely. It's the Fun and Garden Show with Woody and Artie. We have more on the way. We're talking about fall gardening, giving you some tips.
Tips.
All right. We'll be back after this break on Radio St. George 100.3.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. That's the midnight special. That's the midnight.
Rich Warren, inviting you to tune in to our midnight special, folk music and farce, show tunes and satire, madness and escape. 2 hours weekly ranging from ancient ballads to cutting-edge singer-songwriters, classic Broadway shows, and the latest British comedy, all on the midnight special.
The Midnight Special, Saturday evenings from 7 till 9 on Radio St. George 100.3. Hi, this is Tyler from Hash House A-Go-Go, and we've decided to sponsor the DSU radio program. At Hash House A-Go-Go, we offer unique dishes, generous portions, and our light and twisted menu with smaller portions. Recently, Hash House A-Go-Go was voted best in Southern Utah for breakfast and brunch, serving Indiana home-style food with a West Coast twist. Hash House A-Go-Go by the Red Cliffs Mall, putting the fun back into food. This summer at Tuacahn, The Sound of Music. A classic that's become one of the world's most beloved musicals. The Sound of Music at Tuacahn.
So long, farewell, I'll be there saying goodnight.
For more information, tuacahn.org.
Leave this pretty side.
A new comment period session is open for policies that are under review to be voted on September 27th at the Board of Trustees meeting. Your input on policies is crucial to a healthy policy process. Please take the time to read the policies under review and provide any feedback to the policy owner by August 23rd. To review the policy, please go to www.dixie.edu/policy library.
It's time for you to get the Radio St. George app. It's available on iTunes or Google Play. You can stream audio and video, listen to podcasts, make a request, and so much more. Download the Radio St. George app today. We made it for you. The Radio St. George app on iTunes or Google Play.
Enjoy music till dawn, overnights, on Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
We now return to The Garden Show with Artie and Woody.
All right, folks, it's the award-winning Fun and Garden Show starring Woody.
Yes.
Yep. I'm just the producer. You're the guy with all the knowledge.
Yes, of course.
Absolutely. You're the...
that means we're in trouble because I know a little bit about everything and not much about anything.
All right.
Sean come in and fixed our Facebook. I guess we had a loop back going. So it's kind of a test for the audience.
I make a mistake all the time.
If you're in the audience and you can sit and listen to that for a half hour, we give you a prize.
All right. So we were talking about fall gardening tips, what to plant, what not.
Okay, so things that do well in the fall, and we talked about carrots particularly. They're really good for you. Mm-hmm. They're really easy to grow, and if it comes and it freezes the ground, just leave them alone, and in the spring when it warms up, they'll start growing again.
Really?
Yeah. And the other thing that the cold weather does to most of the vegetables that you plant is it makes them taste better. Like with carrots, it makes the sugar go into the carrot. You know, like you pick grapes right now. I'm doing some of my grapes, and I wait for the grape to go from a hard green grape to a softer kind of gold color grape. And that means the sugar's gone into them.
Huh.
And so that's when I pick them and give them away to my neighbors. I like to give grapes away and tomatoes.
You must have some happy neighbors.
I do. We have a good neighborhood.
You're a giving person.
Yes, of course.
You should set up your little your own fruit stand.
Oh yeah.
Or your garden. Sell some carrots.
Can you sell tomatoes that are about an inch around?
Maybe.
I don't know. My tomatoes this year have not done really well. I've had a hard time with them. I really have. So I've had to go out to Fry's and buy them out there.
Yeah.
Their tomatoes are wonderful.
The best.
That's a good place, Fry's. Everything they have there is local grown. The watermelons, the onions, the tomatoes, the squash. And it's a family business, which is another reason to support it.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a long way from a big box store. So anyway, carrots do really well, and now they have, do you know what a kaleidoscope carrot is?
I have no idea.
Well, they put them in a package, and they're different types of carrots. But when they grow, you'll have orange carrots, you'll have white carrots, you'll have purple carrots, you'll have tan carrots.
Do those taste different? Or?
They're sweeter.
They're sweeter.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and it's a variety of different colors. When carrots came along back in the 1800s, orange was it. And then 1920, 1930, they started developing the other colors. And so kaleidoscope is a mix of different types of carrots. And there's a bunch of different ones that you can grow. Onions, you can grow the little bunching onions that I call the little green onions that you cut up and put into a stir fry or something. Or you can grow regular sized onions. And again, if it freezes, just leave them there. And in the spring, when it thaws,
They'll come back.
They'll come back and start growing. And same, and then with your green stuff like spinach and lettuce and cabbage and that, just put it in, let it grow, cut it off. They have some spinach now that's called baby leaf, and it's really tender, but the leaves only get about 3 inches long. And then you trim them, take them in, clean them up, and use them in your salad. And they'll just keep sprouting back up and sprouting back up all winter long. So one of the other issues that I forgot to mention is your winter garden, if possible, pick a place in your yard where there's the sun shines in the winter. Maybe the south side of your house, where that south sun shines, because you don't want to pick the north side where it's in the shade.
That makes sense.
You know, so you want to pick the south side. And
our winters here are pretty mild. So
they are. Now, once in a while we get blasted, but it's, like every 10 years. It's not very often. And one of the things that it mentions in the article that I was reading is in the winter with the winter garden, you plant the plants a little further apart because there's more moisture in the winter and, more rainfall and different things.
Okay.
And you want the air and the breezes to be able to drive the plants out so they don't get mildew. So you don't want them touching each other. You want them a little further apart.
Good advice.
Okay. And let's see the other thing that is good about winter gardens is there's not a lot of insects because guess what? They're frozen. They're gone. So you don't get a lot of bugs on your stuff.
But the raccoons, your neighborhood raccoons.
Yeah, you get the neighborhood raccoon.
Yeah.
And I was just looking for the list of things we can plant in the winter. Beets are another thing. I don't know if you like beets.
Oh, they're horrible.
I'm not
Sorry.
I'm not a beet person unless they're pickled.
Yeah.
And I put them on a salad.
Okay.
I like them that way.
Oh.
But beets, my dad was a vegetarian basically. He loved vegetables.
Yeah.
And he used to take the greens and cut the beet off and then boil the greens.
Really? There's some flavor there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's and it was just, the name of it was greens. And it was just the tops of the beets.
Ugh.
And you put a little butter and salt and pepper. Wasn't too bad.
Well, if you
spinach is another one you can do that too.
If you put butter and salt, on paper, it would be good.
Or a steel plate or almost anything.
So there's some taste in some beets. I didn't know that.
Another thing that you can grow are potatoes in the winter, and particularly sweet potatoes. They do well in the winter, and the longer they're in and the cooler the weather, the more sugar they have in them. So
lot tastier in the fall.
Yeah, the only thing is you want to start them now. And not wait till it gets a little.
Now, we're talking about bulbs or seeds?
With potatoes, they take a potato and cut it up, and then they plant the pieces.
What? Really?
Yeah. Anywhere on a potato that has an eye, you know what an eye is?
Yeah.
And you cut it so that every piece has an eye, and then you plant them about 3 inches deep, and here comes the potato.
Huh.
You didn't know that. Huh?
Well, there's some potatoes that I have forgotten about in my kitchen closet, and they're starting to grow.
Yeah,
they're starting to sprout.
and they're sprouting without the dirt.
Yep, I'm growing them in my kitchen closet. That's awesome.
Yeah. Eggplant you can grow, and I know you love eggplant.
Oh, that's
and
horrible.
we've talked about onions,
Mm-hmm.
and I put onions in almost everything.
Oh.
Yeah. I used to I would tie onions and garlic into a big long, like a rope, and put it around my kids' necks when they went to school. Because it keeps the vampires away.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's an old custom from
That's your nice back to school tip that you have going on.
Yeah,
there.
that's an old
great.
custom from my home planet. Artichokes. You like artichokes, don't you? And then it talks about squash.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that you can grow in the winter that do pretty well.
So how about cucumbers and
not cucumbers? They have to be a little warmer. Peas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sugar snap peas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, peas do really well. If you put peas on the south side of your house and put a trellis next to the house and let them grow up, they'll grow all winter.
All winter long.
And give you peas. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and you know there's different kinds of peas. I guess
the
you
sugar
know that.
snap. The sugar snap.
Well, there's
the sweet.
There's peas that climb.
Okay.
There's peas that are a bush, and there's sugar snap, and then there's and the sugar snap are the type they use in stir fry.
Yeah.
The pod of the pea is flat.
Yeah.
And it has just a little pea in each one.
Yeah.
As opposed to the kind of peas where you pop the pod open and take the peas out and cook them separate. So there's a lot of different kinds of, you know, and
Pea Chat on Radio St. George 100.3.
Yeah,
That's what we're having.
Yeah, the only the only time to grow peas, it's got to be cool. So I would say the months of, you know, October, November, December, January, February, and March. By the end of March, it's getting too warm for peas. So they really love the cold.
Have you ever tried to make your own pea soup?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Split pea soup.
Yeah.
You buy the ones that are split.
I
them in half.
I thought you have to cut them yourself. With
No, I've never done that. Lima beans is another thing that you can grow that I haven't ever grown, but I'd like to because I love lima bean soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a pork roast?
Oh, ham.
Oh, ham.
Ham, yeah. A big ham bone from your picnic ham. You save the bone and then boil it with the soup. Oh.
And throw out the beans and eat the ham.
Oh, it's good.
No, the lima beans are actually really, really good.
They are.
Got that.
And it talks in here about using a slow cooker to do a lot of this kind of cooking. And do you have a slow cooker, Artie?
Oh, of course I do. Yep.
They're pretty neat. They really are.
I made some really good French onion soup the other day with my slow cooker. You know, going back to your chat about onions. So,
did you go buy onions and so on?
I did. Yeah. I used the sweet onions.
Did you use the purple?
No, should I?
Yeah, purple is
in the French onion soup.
Yeah. Oh,
I guess I'm doing it wrong then.
Well, not wrong, but they're a sweeter onion.
So the purple onion would be a little bit better to use for. Wow.
Yeah.
But I cooked those down for hours and hours. Actually, it turned out really well.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the lima beans would do well in a slow cooker and and I guess chili, that'd be a good
yeah.
Good thing to do for the fall.
Chili, you can put almost anything in. A lot of people even put like corn niblets and different things. I don't put pasta or corn niblets. I put the beans and the onions and the tomatoes, and then I usually take a roast and I cube it up into cubes and put it in there, and then cook it for 2-3 hours. Garlic is another thing that you can grow in cold weather.
Oh, so yeah. I guess so, huh?
Yeah, you can take a a cube of garlic. You know how garlic's in a round, I don't know what to call it, Lazy Susan kind of shape with different little sections. Take one of the sections, put it about 3 inches deep, and it'll grow up and it'll produce a whole garlic.
Wow. That's the same, I assume, with onions too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you can plant onions.
Yeah, haven't you ever seen the onion sets they sell in the bags?
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, they have white onions and yellow onions and red onions, and they're little small onions, and if you plant them and if you water them, Artie, they'll actually grow.
So the key is watering, huh?
Yeah. And let's see what else it talks about here. We've covered a lot of it. I'd be interested to know if the listeners out there would tune into our website and let us know how many of them actually have a winter garden.
Huh.
I think it'd be fun to know. Okay. Kale, you can grow. Cabbage, you can grow the heads of cabbage, or you can grow bok choy, the little Chinese cabbage.
Oh, those are the smaller ones.
Yeah. And also cilantro.
Really?
Yeah.
Cilantro, and then
it does well in the cool weather.
How about parsley?
I'm sure parsley would be all right, especially if you had a south-facing garden. You know, if you get the sun on it, even for 2-3 hours a day, it'll keep it warm enough because the soil and the wall gets warm, and then after the sun goes down, it'll radiate heat off of it for 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, that. And then some of the things grow fast enough that you can harvest them in the fall, while other things you wait till spring to harvest. Okay.
Yeah.
Carrots, beets. Carrots are pretty slow. I don't think you could harvest those in the fall. You got to wait till spring to do those. And onions, you might get onions. Oh, and leeks is another thing.
That's good in soup.
Yeah, they are good. I don't know that there's a lot of difference between those and onions. They, my dad always said that's the same thing.
Yeah,
but
the green onions, right?
Well, they're bigger and they're longer.
Yeah,
the onion part, and you can slice them up, but they're basically an onion.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you've been talking about all the great things that we can plant and enjoy during the fall. How about preparing your other plants? What plants do you need to prepare for the winter to protect them for the spring? Is there anything that we need to do to?
Very good.
We talked about planting, but is there?
Yeah, very good question. I have a couple of hibiscus. I was telling you how big the blooms are.
Yeah. You said they're as big as plates.
Yeah, and so in the fall, about end of October, middle of November, I'll cut those down right to the ground, and then I'll pile about 6 inches of soil on top, or I put some bark. I go buy a bag of bark and pour some bark on them to keep the roots warm so they don't freeze. Because if they get really froze, they'll die. And
how about roses? The same thing with roses?
No, roses are hardy. They'll be okay. But there are some things that you need to protect like that. One of the things that I do that a lot of people don't do, like right now, most of my flowers are pretty well through. They've kind of had it. The heat this year has been pretty tough on them.
Been pretty brutal.
And my coreopsis and my daisies and my echinacea all bloomed. And then when they quit blooming, they get to look kind of ratty. And I went out last week and I cut them all down.
You did? This early?
Yep. I cut them right down to the ground. And the same with the columbine. I cut that down. Now, I'll tell you what will happen. that a lot of people don't realize is it will grow again this fall.
It will.
Yeah. And if it doesn't bloom, it will at least get a couple of feet high and be green and look good. Okay? And then when the frost comes, then I'll need to cut them again. But I don't like this straggly, ugly thing. Look where they're hanging over all that stuff. So I cut them off. And like the columbine, I cut those off, and they'll grow a new plant, and they'll bloom again if you cut them down. So that's the way I do it. I don't cut my shrubs, my roses. I can. I was surprised because I came from Salt Lake, and I thought it's too hot down here for roses. But roses do really well. I trim my roses 3 times a year.
You do?
If I didn't, they'd be 12 feet high. You don't want them planted in the direct sun. You want them in the shade. But they do really well down here. Roses really go crazy.
Now, how often do you use the rose
food?
Rose food and plant food.
You know, it depends on. You watch the roses, and if the leaves start to have holes in them where something's eating them, then you need to use it. And same with aphids up at the top. The aphids will, like when you get a rose and it's a bloom, they'll eat into that, and they'll eat it, and it won't ever bloom because it'll have little holes all over in it.
Yeah,
so that's when you put that's a systemic insecticide that goes up in the plant and kills anything that's in the plant. So another thing that's producing right now is the figs. I have a fig tree, and this is a time of year where I'll get a couple of hundred yellow figs off of them if I can pick them before the ants get to them. Figs are real sweet, and the ants just love them.
Oh, wow.
They'll burrow into them and eat them out. So, and the other thing is this time of year are the grapes.
Okay.
My grapes are on and going pretty,
Even during the summertime?
Oh, August is when grapes bear.
No kidding.
Yeah. I probably get 30, 40 pounds of grapes.
No way.
Yeah, I've got 6 plants, and they've been in for 25 years. So the stalks on them are like 2 and 3 inches.
So what kind of grapes are you talking about?
Well,
what works well down here?
I made a mistake. Well, I didn't make a mistake. I went and bought what I thought were seedless Thompson grapes, the big ones, and I planted them, and after a couple of years when they started to bloom, I had the little perlites. The nursery I bought them from had labeled them wrong.
Oh.
And they're seedless and they're sweet, but they're only they're doing really good if they get as big as a marble. Usually a little bit smaller than a marble. And what we used to do when our grandkids were there all the time is we would pick them and clean them and put them in a plastic bag, a zip tie bag, and freeze them. And then when the kids were there, we'd get them out and put them in a bowl, and you eat them frozen.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's almost like eating a popsicle. And they're really good that way.
Oh, that's a good. That's a great idea.
Yeah, a grape is a lot better cold, but it's really good frozen. It's really surprising.
Yeah.
So the other thing that's coming on right now that we're dealing with are my mulberries. I have 3 or 4 mulberry trees that are fruitless, but I bought one fruiting mulberry, a Persian fruiting mulberry, and the mulberries are on right now, and I'm going to pick them, maybe 2 or 3 pounds, and we're going to mix them with the blackberries that we
Oh, yeah.
We had come off our blackberries a month ago and mix them together and make a jam of the two put together.
Oh, that'd be really good.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Mulberries are kind of tart to eat. The blackberries aren't. They're just plain sweet. So I think it'd be fun to mix some, or at least try it and see what it tastes like.
Yeah.
There's different kinds of jam you can make, and they have stuff called Jello jam. Have you ever heard of that?
Jello jam.
Yeah, instead of making them the regular way, you mix Jello with them, but you have to keep them refrigerated, but it's a lot easier than making regular jam. And so, like, you can take, as an example, apricots and cook them and everything and get them ready to make jam. And then you can use Jello that's pineapple flavored. And you end up with a pineapple apricot jam.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, really good. Really good. My wife is very, very good at all this kind of stuff.
Awesome.
When I help her, which I try to do, I just stand in the kitchen and say, what do I do next? And she'll say, slice the tomatoes.
Slice this, do this.
peel the potatoes, chop the onions, and I do that stuff. And then she does all the magic. Another thing that it's not too late to, if you've got some areas in your garden that are vacant for some reason, the seeds didn't come up or whatever, right now you can still plant zinnias, and they'll come up and they'll bloom before winter.
Now, what color?
Zinnias
what
are all
color
colors.
are those?
They're all colors.
Really?
Yeah, you can get them purple, white, orange, red, pink, and when they come up and they start blooming, they bloom for 2-3 months. And the hotter it gets, the more they like it.
Oh, wow.
And when you plant the seeds, put the seeds on the soil and just put a dusting of soil on top, not very much, about 1/8 of an inch, and you'll have plants in about 4 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That fast, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
But don't plant them in the shade. Plant them in the sun because they love the sun. Okay. What else? Have we missed anything, Artie?
I'm not sure. It's our 2-minute warning.
Oh, it is?
Yep, our 2-minute warning before the show.
Have we had any calls to name our friend back here?
No, no, not yet. So we have a new guest sitting next to Woody there in the studio. So I think Chuckles.
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 Yeah.
I think Chuckles is a good name
Yeah.
for our new friend. So our new studio helper.
Yeah. Actually, I was kind of thinking that I'd try to line him up, maybe get him a date. Some of our listeners.
That'd be great.
So we're, looking for a guy to go out with.
Well, folks, thanks for listening to the Garden Show. Woody, great tips as always. We've been talking about fall weather, plants and so
You
forth.
think it's too soon, and if you wait till the middle of September, it's too late.
Yeah.
So you've got to plan ahead with gardening.
And you
really do.
You can post some tips online on our Fun and Garden Show
About
website.
winter gardening?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I could do that.
Post some tips, and our listeners could post what they've had success with in the past.
One of the other things that it mentions that you can grow, and I have an asparagus garden, and you can plant that in the fall too, and it does really well. Asparagus.
Well, cool.
You go to like Ballards or Sandia, and they have the asparagus roots, and you plant them down about 3-4 inches, and in the spring up they come.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for the great tips, Woody. This has been the Fun and Garden Show exclusively on Radio St. George 100.3.
I have a tip for you.
What?
Listen to our show.
Absolutely. And we want to thank Sean Denevin here at Radio St. George and Radio Dixie for letting us be a part of the station. And thank you, folks, for listening to the Fun and Garden Show exclusively on Radio St. George 100.3. Thanks, Woody.
All right.
What a great show. We'll see you next week.
Be square.
You've been listening to The Garden Show. For audio and or video of this show, go to
From the Center for Investigative Reporting and PRX, this is Reveal. I'm Al Ledson. Ammon Bundy got into 2 armed standoffs with the federal government.
It's about our federal government taking over private property.
Years after those standoffs ended, the Bundy supporters are still active.
He said he was going to blow the house up. He said his car was full of explosives.
The Bundys inspired a lot of people who say they don't like what they're seeing in America.
People are wanting retaliation, they want revenge, they want payback for a lot of things.
Today on Reveal, we team up with the podcast Bundyville to find out what's happening inside the anti-government movement. But first, this news.